So now we have some kind of static HTML view. Now that's not very useful. We need to kind of figure out how we can get the display name in here, how we can get the file name, how we can get the created data and the other metadata in here. So that's what we're going to do this lesson. We're going to open up for an input for this component right here. Now that pretty much means that anybody who wants to use this can actually send the data in here, what it wants to display in each field down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our file details component right here. Now in that component, what we're going to do is we're going to add an input. So this is not something new. I've already done that a few times, so it shouldn't be rocket science right here. So let's just do it. Input, parentheses, there we go, and let's just import that guy. And then we want it to be called a file that we can import, and the file is right here. Now notice it actually tried to help me out here with the file. Let me just try and do it again. Do you want to use the ECMAScript 6 file? No, I actually want to use my own defined file, this guy right here, which is from the shared folder. So down here there's a file, and this is the one I want to use. Sweet. It's very important that you pick that one, or else you won't have your properties available later on. Now that we have that file available, what we're going to do is we're going to say ngIf like this, and we're going to say if there's a file, right? And just kind of to show you guys, I'll just add it on the card right here instead of the actual layout. And then I want to add just something down here. For now it's just going to be a div. We'll add a spinner later that's going to say loading or something like that. Loading. And that's going to be if the file is not there yet. So it's just, I don't know, it's just to kind of give you guys an indication when we actually have the file. So let's just say ngIf right here, not file. So if there's no file available, then show just loading text right here. Good. What else do we want? Well, I also want to kind of start using the information from the file if it's there. So we can go now, let's just get rid of the subtitle. I don't like that up there. So instead we're going down here, and we're going to say created date is going to come from the file.created, right? This guy, the picture name is going, file name is going to come from file name. Okay, the size is going to come from file.size. And let's just divide that with 1,000 and then write megabytes, something like this. Now again, I can't remember if it's capitalized MB. You'll figure that out yourself. So now we kind of have some information here that's actually dynamically added to our component, right? Now the problem is right now we don't send in any information. So let's just have a look at the application now. It's loading all the time because it's actually not there right now. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to, of course, when we're using this component now, when we're using this tag, a new input has popped up called file. And let's just make a static file inside the file container for now that we can try and use. So we'll just make a file right here. Again, it's this type. And that file we're just going to, in the constructor, create it. It's going to be equal to a new file that's going to have, oh, I need to say this file, right? It's going to be equal to a new file that's going to have a file name. And let's just put in new.jpg, I don't know. It's going to have, oh, I need a colon here instead. It's going to have, what else do we want in here? We want created. And that's just going to be a date. So let's just say 10/10/2017. That's a Danish notation. It's going to have a MIME type. That's going to be, not that that is important, but it's still going to come from the backend. We're just not using it right now. It's going to have an owner. That's going to be some kind of static value for the actual owner. And then it's going to be a size. And let's just write something like this. That should be a fair size right here. And let's just end this. So now we have a file right here available inside the file system container. Now the file is not going to come from this area. We're going to send it in from a folder later on. But just to again give you guys an idea about how we actually pass in a file to the file details. So now that we have that, we can jump into the file container right here of the file details, and you'll notice that, like we did earlier, a new input field had just popped up. So if you use the square, it says file now, and you can actually send in the file. It pretty much just means that that's going to be sent into the details now, right here, and that's going to update the HTML right here. Now we don't have this guy yet, and let me just explain that in a second, but for now let's just see if we got the other information. Danish date right there, some kind of file name and some kind of size. Whee! Now we just need to get the display name, but when we actually made the design decisions, we figured out we didn't want the display name both places, not both inside the file and inside the folder. We only wanted it to be inside the folder, right? I'm not satisfied with that solution now. I actually wanted both places, so we're actually going to end up adding the display name down here as well. So let's just add it down here so I can remember to add it. display name, and let's just say funny day, I don't know, there we go. And since it's in here now, I want to also add it inside my model just so I don't forget it. So here we're going to get a display name that's also going to be a string, display name, string, there we go. Now we have a display name available as one of our new model objects right here, and that pretty much just means that now I can go in here and I can add that display name inside the HTML as well. So let's just say file.displayName, there we go. Now we only have to set it inside the static setup we have right here. We need a display name now, so let's just do display name. Let's just say funny day at the beach. There we go, and do a comma right here, and there we go. So now we have made it from a pure static component into actually being a component that can accept from the outside, can accept some information using an input field. And that's the first step. Now we have a dynamic component that can accept at least the input for the metadata. Next we'll have to figure out how we can import the image as well. So see you next time, have fun.